never heard of a killer? I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Somebody said, look at LeakYou video. What the fuck is LeakYou? Is it like a site? What's LeakYou? LeakYou. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh, shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's kind of late tonight, but I wanted to come through. Duval, good to see you. Long time, man. Listen, guys, I won't stay long, but I'm here to talk about something that is happening in Syria. And truth be told, I've followed things that happen in the country of Syria for many years. One of many countries that I follow. It sometimes is so unbelievable how out of control things can get in entire countries that have supposed leadership. We all know, I've talked about former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who absolutely massacred and brutalized his own people, including dropping chemical weapons on his own people with the assistance of Russia, I might add. It's interesting because Bashar al-Assad is now a resident of Russia. And I really wonder how long, I want to be careful what I say, but I really do wonder how long it'll be before some sort of hitman comes for Bashar al-Assad, even though he's in Russia. There's plenty of Arabs and people of the Muslim faith that reside in Russia. But listen, Christianity is probably the largest religion in Russia. Hey, Terry Dow, 94, good to see you. And let me not go off the deep end. Bashar al-Assad, his regime crumbled within a matter of a few weeks, right? We watched him massacre and brutalize his people for years. And he left so much hate behind. While he escaped with his wife and his daughters, he escaped to Russia, and he received asylum in Russia by President Vladimir Putin, and he left his country of Syria in the hands of terrorists. And as of tonight, More than 1,300 people have been murdered, been massacred in Syria. We're talking about Christians that are being purposely targeted and being massacred in Syria. The violence actually broke out late last week. It's been going on for a few days now, but there is not a lot being said about this on mainstream media, including the United Nations, which has stayed absolutely mum and has had nothing to say in regards to this ongoing massacre that is happening right now in many cities, villages, aka towns in Syria. Now, some are claiming that the people being massacred somehow helped Bashar al-Assad. You all haven't forgot about how ISIS steamrolled through portions of Syria, claiming it as the promised land, right? Jihadi John and all of the foreigners that were moving to Syria to carry out, to fight the war in Syria for ISIS. No, not against ISIS. They wanted to go fight with ISIS. Americans, Australians, Europeans, leaving their homes to go fight in Syria, where it's not uncommon to see a human head impaled, on a fence in that country. But again, as of tonight, right now the numbers are around 1,300 people that have been massacred and murdered in a series of attacks that have been happening in Syria. I've been seeing videos of entire villages being burned down to the ground, including the people in it. And people proudly boasting that they just burned the village down with everyone in it. Many church services have been canceled. Christians in the areas within Syria are increasingly fearful for their safety. And if they've not considered leaving the country yet, I don't know what the fuck they're waiting on. Get to the border, get the fuck out. There's even groups of Syrians begging the Israelis to come and help them. Russian military is protecting some Syrians from massacre, as the Russian military is still in that country in small numbers. But the violence against these Syrians broke out last Thursday in the Alawite majority areas of western Syria, when supporters of former President Bashar al-Assad took up arms and attacked security forces of that new regime that's been put in, which is acronymed HTS. Now, Assad, who was overthrown last year, he belonged to the Alawites. This is a branch of Shia Islam that is a minority in Syria. And this area has been targeted because it is considered a stronghold of the Assad regime. Many people that were in prison for decades upon decades, including others who had some sort of personal hurt or issue or something that happened in their lives that they directly attribute to Bashar al-Assad, are now enacting vengeance against whomever they can get their hands on. Now, the new leader in Syria claimed that he sent reinforcements to this particular area, but it appears hostilities continue to escalate even still. And according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which is a United Kingdom-based monitoring group, many civilians have been killed in addition to hundreds of members of the Syrian security forces and pro-Assad fighters, including murders happening in cities like Latakia and Tartus. Many shops, restaurants are closed. But let's be clear. Christians are also being targeted because of their faith. And you all, I don't know if you guys know this. I mean, you look at Syria now and you think it is a Muslim stronghold. And it may be now. But the truth is, Syria used to be mainly a Christian country, right? I don't know why Muslims and Christians just can't live in peace together, right? But in Syria, did you all know that only in Syria there is a place up in the mountains, actually, within that Mesopotamia region that still speaks Aramaic? Aramaic was the actual language that Jesus spoke. And many others back in biblical times that we're so familiar with. Now, these absolutely traumatizing events that are happening in Syria, I want you to think back, Jihadi John, and all of the horrible videos that were edited and directed and produced like Hollywood flicks, Hollywood action films, okay? Well, it was nothing for them to, put a Syrian officer into a cage and burn him alive in it, and then produce this type of content and then drop it on the internet. ISIS with their black flags. And now you've got Christians being absolutely massacred because of the location where they live, their faith. If I was a pastor in Syria for a Christian church, and there are a few that are famous, I would be scared to death to hold a religious service. But I guess it is times like this that sets men apart. Who's going to be bold on Sunday to perform a Christian religious service with the things that are happening? Now, there has been a joint statement that has been released by church patriarchs that are in Syria, Western Syria, and it is so, quote, "In recent days, Syria has witnessed a dangerous escalation of violence, brutality, and killings, resulting in attacks on innocent civilians, including women and children." Now, again, this is a statement from the 3 largest churches, Christian churches in Syria. It continues, "Homes have been violated, their sanctity disregarded, and properties looted. Scenes that starkly reflect the immense suffering endured by the Syrian people." The Christian churches, while strongly condemning any act that threatens civil peace, denounce and condemn the massacres targeting innocent civilians and call for an immediate end to these horrific acts, which stand in stark opposition to all human and moral values. The church leaders asked for a creation of conditions that are conducive to achieving national reconciliation among the Syrian people. They also called for a state that respects all its citizens, based on equal citizenship and genuine partnership, free from the logic of vengeance and exclusion. And they stressed that they stand for the unity of Syrian territory and reject any attempts to divide it. You all, let's be clear. Ever since Bashar al-Assad was overthrown in Syria late last year, there has been a lot of conversation and talk about Christians in Syria and fear of being massacred, and those fears are now being realized. There are videos making their way out. And again, the United Nations is absolutely quiet and silent on this matter. I have yet to hear any statement from the United Nations on what is happening in Syria. And it has been going on for almost a week now.
As the barbaric scope of the massacre in Syria continues to expand, Syrian Christians are once again caught in the crossfire. Juliana Taimoorazi, Nobel Peace Prize nominee for advancing awareness of the persecution of Christians in the Middle East, joins us now. Juliana, what are you hearing from Syria?
Awful, terrible news, terrible news. Yesterday, I heard that there were 15 doctors that were murdered because they were Alawites. Supposedly supporters of Assad, women, children, men. I must warn your audience about what I'm about to say. It's a little bit gruesome. I've watched videos that I can never unsee again. I've seen hearts being carved out of bodies. I have seen duct tape being placed on men's eyes, and then they stand them on the mass graves and shoot them, and they don't die, and then they beat them after they have shot them. The dehumanization that is happening on the ground. They make them bark like dogs. They make them walk on legs and their hands, on their knees and hands. It is absolutely an atrocity. I'm a student of the Holocaust, and we read those things in the pages of history, right? And then we recently came from 10 years ago was the ISIS genocide in Iraq. But really, this is on a different scale, on another scale. Why are they killing the children? The children were not supporters of Assad. And the Christians that have come under attack, they're terrified, absolutely terrified.
Oh, that is just demonic. There's no other way to describe it. Help us understand. So it seems like the reports are that this is mainly against the Alawites, right? The nationality, the ethnicity of the former Assad regime. But Christians are also being targeted. Can you help explain that for us?
So the Alawites are they're considered to be heretic to the Muslims, and therefore they're not protected by the jihadists, if you will. Christians are people of the book. And because they're a small minority, and because of the atrocities that Assad have committed, also last week, I believe it was Thursday, when some supporters of Assad attacked the forces of this new regime. This regime is brutal. Please don't get me wrong, but they ambushed these new forces, and this is what's transpiring right now is in retaliation of what happened in the hands of the Assad supporters. The other thing that I have to really tell your audience is that when the West welcomed al-Jolani to power, how quickly do we forget that this man was an Al-Qaeda member, an ISIS member, when he was in Idlib, which is in northern part of Syria. They were using Turkish lira, supported by Turkey. How quickly do we forget? As soon as he puts a suit on and a necktie, he becomes a Westerner. So this massive attack that has been happening against the Alawites, it is systematic. You hear them speak. Oh, and very importantly, I must say that the fighters, you look at them, you watch these videos, the fighters are not Arabs, all of them. They're Chechens, they're Indonesians, there are Jordanians, there are Tajiks from Tajikistan. I mean, you will find there are some Americans. Apparently, there was a report that said that there are Americans, just like they were embedded with ISIS. So this very diverse, very brutal group is committing demonic acts against the Alawites and Christians.
Listen, I have this opinion, and I will always have this opinion of those that leave the comfort and sanctity of their homes. Specifically, I'm talking to Americans that decided to leave this country to go over there to Syria to live and fight for ISIS, and now against, massacring these Christians. You deserve to stay right where you are, and you should never be allowed. I wouldn't give a damn if you were born in this country. Your citizenship should absolutely be revoked. And no fighter who decided to take up arms in Syria should be ever allowed to come back onto American soil and go back to their homes in Midwest America. I think that's absolutely insane, nuts, and crazy. You stay where you are in Syria. You stay where you are and you die there. It's amazing to hear how Americans and all these other people from all these other countries are helping partake in these massacres. It was disgusting when we seen people leaving their homes in America, moving over there to Syria so that they could, they wanted a little piece of the caliphate. Okay. A little piece of the promised land. It's not looking so good, is it? To me, I'm so grateful. I don't live there, never been there, would never go there. I am so grateful that I didn't have to grow up in a shit ass country like that. I am. I'm not even going to lie to you. Could you imagine waking up one day and some people, they just decided, hey, we're going to go massacre and kill all these people. It's not even really the numbers that we're hearing, right? 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. Listen, that's on the low side, right? I've heard numbers of 1,800, 2,000, multiple thousands. What will the leadership of Syria do about this? He doesn't seem to be doing anything. But again, you heard her, as I mentioned before I even played that little clip. The current leader of Syria who took over after Bashar al-Assad, he's a terrorist himself. And I really hope none of these countries, any in the UK, including America, any, Canada, any country, please do not give aid to that fucking lunatic ass leadership over there. They're fucking terrorists. Okay. Period. I mean, we've put enough bullets, weapons, and money into those god fucking forsaken places. It's a fucking shithole. Forgive me, but it is. It's a goddamn shithole. We backed Bashar al-Assad, and he began to kill his own people. And now look at him. He's in freaking Moscow hanging out with Putin, right? Why are we putting money into these goddamn godforsaken countries? Where are, since they want to be all about killing Christians, it's all about the Muslim Brotherhood and all of that. Where are their Muslim brothers with the paychecks? Okay, Saudi Arabia, knock, 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 motherfuckers. Where you at? Dubai. Knock, knock, knock. I mean, y'all are the richest fucking country over there. Are you going to write a check to your Syrian brothers and sisters? I mean, why is it always America and the goddamn United Kingdom in various countries putting money in these wackos' bank accounts? I don't fucking understand it, okay? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I don't fucking want to. I think it's bullshit. I think it's absolute bullshit. Here's the truth of the matter. Maps change. Lines, lot lines or geographical lines, they change. That is just a fact of history. And I think that we as Americans, I've been saying this, we've been needing to tighten the fuck up. We don't need to be helping, contributing, putting money, or even helping with the resources, military resources either. I mean, the question I would have is, where were you motherfuckers when Bashar al-Assad was gassing his own people, dropping chlorine chemical bombs on civilian populations, civilian apartment complexes, hospitals, churches, mosques, for God's sake? Horrendous, absolutely horrendous what's happening. And it just, to me, I just look at it and I'm just like, it's so fucking pointless. It is so pointless. Some countries you can't fucking help. And, we've got people who are making videos, TikTok, Twitter X videos, who are saying, hey, please help me. Please help me. People are being massacred in my village, and the United Nations ain't even said a peep. The United Nations. I would think it's the United Nations responsibility first. Aren't y'all a collective of a bunch of countries? I mean, y'all wanted to go and indict Netanyahu, and where's your indictment on this new leadership in Syria? Where's your indictment of this group of former ISIS fighters who are now, right back in fucking control again? It's almost, it's so similar to when, we go over to Afghanistan. Oh, we're going to take the Taliban out. We're going to kill them all. But truth be told, you go over there, you get to fighting, and all you do is make them hate you. And they turn to their brothers in arms even stronger. And if you thought their hearts were hard before, they're hard like stone now. You all, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through, particularly those of you on X. I see you guys. I'm going to get up out of here, but I'll be back at a later time to talk some more about this. And man, listen, my prayers are with each and every one of you. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian or Muslim or Judah, if you practice Judaism, it doesn't matter. I don't want to see anybody murdered, especially in massacres. It's so unbelievable that something like that can even happen in 2025. My heart is with you. And I know that mainstream media may not be talking about it, but I will. And I hope that others will lend their ear. Until next time, everyone.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart, like really, really, really smart like I am.